Next up is Victoria Mayo, who is head of compliance for iptiQ EMEA Property and Casualty, which is a part of Swiss Re, the world's largest insurance and reinsurance company, founded in the year 1863. She is co-presenting with James Head, who was her counterpart as the interim head of delivery and also CEO of Rebellion Consulting. I am so excited about this presentation because Victoria and James described how the startup iptiQ P&C was built inside of Swiss Re. They describe why and how the strategically important program was created and how it has earned the highest levels of support from within the organization. They share the successes and lessons learned creating digital insurance offerings sold through new channels such as retailers. This is such a fantastic talk about how Swiss Re's Horizon 1 businesses created a set of ambitious Horizon 3 initiatives to explore, innovate, and win in the marketplace. So please welcome Victoria and James.
Hello everyone, and thanks for taking the time to listen to our keynote for DevOps Enterprise Summit 2020. We're so excited to tell you our story. You can catch us on Slack throughout to ask us your questions. My name's James Head. I'm CEO and founder of Rebellion Consulting. I'm joined by ex-colleague and now close friend Victoria Mayo. She's head of compliance for iptiQ EMEA P&C and part of the executive team.
Hi everyone.
Our keynote today is how a Colossus took a duck and turned it into a unicorn. Our story of transforming a 156-year-old reinsurer and ourselves in the process. We really hope you enjoy the talk and it gives you some useful insight and inspiration.
So before we dive into iptiQ, we wanted to first introduce you to its home, which is Swiss Re. And Swiss Re is currently the world's largest reinsurance company. And its origins stem from May 1861, when more than 500 houses went up in flames in the Swiss town of Glarus. 2/3 of that town sank into ash, more than 3,000 people lost their home. And that fire really showed that insurance coverage in Switzerland simply wasn't adequate to protect people and businesses in the event of such a natural catastrophe. So in 1863, the Swiss Reinsurance Company was officially incorporated in Zurich. And simply put, reinsurance is effectively insurance for insurance companies. And it's purchased to help insulate itself from the risk of a major claims event. So Swiss Re itself is made up of 3 core business units. The first is reinsurance, and that's by far the largest. It makes up around 80% of Swiss Re's overall revenues, covering life and health and also property and casualty or non-life business. Then we have corporate solutions, and that's our corporate-to-corporate insurance arm that offers various insurance coverages for multinational and mid-sized firms. And then last but not least, we have Life Capital. So Life Capital is where iptiQ P&C, the company that we'll be talking about today, actually sits. And Life Capital is probably the newest part of Swiss Re from a business unit perspective, and its primary goal is to boost long-term revenues of Swiss Re, and by accessing new insurance areas. Reinsurance is a kind of shrinking or a much smaller pool than it used to be, and so iptiQ is part of that strategy to access the primary insurance pool. And iptiQ is a B2B2C insurer, meaning it aims to offer a fully digital insurance proposition through the existing distribution channels of the world's leading brands, ecosystem, banks, and other insurance companies. And we aim to do that in an efficient, transparent way in order to make that insurance more accessible and much simpler for end customers like you and me. So historically, the big player in Life Capital was ReAssure, and that was an insurance runoff specialist in the UK, and it was a huge cash generator for Swiss Re for a number of years. So ReAssure was sold to Phoenix Group this year, subject to regulatory approvals, and this will then now bring iptiQ firmly into the investor spotlight from a global Swiss Re perspective. So it's an initiative that's super important at the Swiss Re board level. So just to give you a sense of where James and I actually sit or sat in the organization. So the group CEO of Swiss Re is Christian Mumenthaler that you can see there. Reporting to Christian is Thierry Leger, and he is a member of the group executive committee and CEO of the Life Capital business unit overall. Reporting to him is Andreas Scherzinger, and he's our very own iptiQ EMEA CEO. And we operate in a matrix reporting line in Swiss Re. So James reported both to the Life Capital CTOO, and who's another reporter of Thierry, as well as to Andreas. And myself, I report to the head of compliance for Life Capital, also as well as to Andreas.
So let's now talk a little bit more about iptiQ. So iptiQ is key for Swiss Re. They really believe this is their future growth engine, as Victoria described. Their way to tackle the innovator's dilemma and the third horizon. They're willing to invest in this over the long term. There are now there are iptiQs now in 4 continents of the world, and it's something the board take a keen interest in. But it's not just a pure financial play for Swiss Re. Swiss Re are not just a reinsurer, but a risk knowledge company. They want to further their intellectual capital, research, and data to become increasingly more of a risk tech company. iptiQ is their gateway into this new world of innovation and technology. iptiQ's business model is uniquely built around digital insurance partnerships with the world's leading brands. iptiQ recognises that insurance is not the top priority for most people, so bring it to the customer when they need it most, and to complement other products and services. So whether you're buying a car, a house, a kitchen, or an airline ticket, iptiQ wants to be there to make sure you and your family are protected. Traditional insurance companies are made up of a web of complex legacy ERP and mainframe systems, waterfall and outsourced processes, and outdated and siloed practices, with a significant amount of technical, organizational, and cultural debt. All this needs to be paid down, and this also results in a huge amount of paper, and it's a very manual, high-cost, brittle business that struggles to improve, let alone innovate. Because of all this legacy, the end customer experience is usually at the lower end of company priorities, behind cost-cutting, outsourcing, and the latest sales campaign. To make matters even worse, insurance distribution is a mess of brokers, agents, intermediaries, and complex insurance products, everyone fighting for their commission or margin, again, all at the detriment of the end customer. At iptiQ, we want to do something completely differently. iptiQ was completely greenfield, has no legacy, no retail brand. It's a pure white label model where each participant plays their part and brings value. The partner bring the brand, customer, and distribution channels, while iptiQ provides the insurance license, operation, and digital platform. Starting with a clean sheet of paper with cloud, agile, and DevOps built in, with a relentless focus on the customer and their experience. We tried to build the company around a culture of high quality engineering and innovative insurance experience at the heart of everything we did. So myself and my origins, I'm a self-taught engineer from a data and business intelligence background, and I started my career in the mid-90s with a company at the time called Talkland that ultimately became Vodafone, that we all know today. After Vodafone, I found